Hello, and welcome. Here are ways to become a supporter of the channel. Thank you, and enjoy.
3, 2, 1.
Still asleep! Wake up!
The movie The Matrix is not science fiction. It's a documentary. Every human, and it's a fact, every human first 7 years is download hypnosis. The brain of a child under 7 is in a lower vibrational frequency. When you put wires on a person's head, you read electroencephalograph, reading brain activity. A child below 7 has a lower vibration than consciousness. It's called theta. Theta is imagination. Oh, that's how kids play a tea party with mud pies, but to them it's a real thing. A kid rides a broom, it's a horse. That's theta, imagination. Theta is also hypnosis. And the idea is this: before you can become conscious, if you don't have any programs, what are you going to be conscious of? It's sort of like I buy a new iPod and I take it out of the box and I push play and nothing happens, and you think, oh my God, I spent all the money and the damn thing isn't working. And then some little 7-year-old kid comes up and says, well, mister, you didn't download any music.
You ever heard of the Bob Ross theory?
No, I haven't.
There's a theory that Bob Ross paints the landscapes and paints the areas of places where he hid bodies.
What?
Yeah.
Nah.
So take this in. This painting, it's called Happy Little Accidents. This painting is an exact comparison to this real life place with this tree.
Okay.
And at this location, they found 5 dead women, half eaten alive.
Half eaten?
And buried under the tree.
Where is this?
I think this is in the States somewhere. But keep in mind the title, Happy Little Accidents. So
Happy
Bob Ross painted it and titled it Happy Little Accidents. Why is that such a sus name? You know what I mean?
Are his other paintings also
Oh, there's more.
murder.
There's another one that's like betrayal and grief.
Oh,
there's different titles.
Yeah.
But the theory goes that every single painting that he's done is a clue, or at least even the exact location of where he hid these bodies that he's killed.
Oh, so he's killed.
Yeah, he's killed.
What?
So we all know that Antarctica is probably the most mysterious continent in the world, but there's a new theory blowing up that's so wild that it might change your perception of the continent altogether. The theory suggests that instead of Antarctica being a giant ice continent at the bottom of our Earth, it's actually a giant ice wall that circles all the continents that we inhabit. And although at first this might sound like somebody just randomly came up with this theory because they were bored, this is actually not the first time that this has been talked about. In 1892, a new standard map of the world was released called the Gleason map, and it depicts Antarctica going around our continents just as the theory states. And ironically, the United Nations logo is very similar to the Gleason map as well. Now this theory actually gets much deeper because some people believe that if you make it past this ice wall, that you would run into many more continents that are purposely being hidden from us. But what do you think about all this? I got a video of a pilot who claims to have actually went to the ice wall and have recorded it. I want you to check out the video and then leave your opinion about what you think about this theory altogether.
I want to say something else. One of the things that I learned from whistleblowers from the cabal itself is that they have to work within something they call the rules. And this is very, very important. So I really want to make sure that this gets into the film. The rules are a body of spiritual principles that they must follow in order to be allowed to exist. Now, what do I mean by allowed to exist? I mean that they are aware that there are benevolent forces that will prevent them from achieving their goals unless we give them permission to enslave us. Now think about that. Well, I didn't give them permission. So why did they put this plan for 3 world wars on display in a book that's hanging there open behind glass in the British Museum Library of London? And those 3 world wars that they're outlining are exactly World War I, World War II, and the war on terrorism. Because the rules state that they have to tell us what they're doing. Therefore, if we allow it to happen, we have consented to tyranny, we have consented to enslavement. Now, if you get into the secret history of the cabal, This was rediscovered by Queen Elizabeth, the original Elizabeth that we've heard about from the 1500s. Queen Elizabeth's royal astrologer, a man named John Dee, who is the prototype of the wizard with the long beard, the hat, and what he did was to rediscover, through these ancient documents that were in the Vatican, the technology of how to access what they considered to be spiritual beings that were useful to them, but what we would consider to be demonic or evil beings. These beings need to be accessed through a very complex set of rituals and ceremonies. You cannot just ask for them to show up. You have to follow very elaborate and specific protocols. If you follow those protocols, it's like having an IP address, which is what we use to go online in order to notate a website. Every website has its own IP address. These spiritual beings, such as Baal and Moloch, which they still do ceremonies for today, such as in Bohemian Grove, there is a giant effigy, stone effigy of an owl. That's the god Moloch. The god Moloch goes all the way back to Rome and Carthage, in which they were offering child sacrifices to this god in exchange for power. So John Dee rediscovered the technology of how to draw the magic circles, how to say the right incantations, how to actually do black magic on a governmental level. This is what people are going to have so much trouble with once disclosure happens, is that these people actually practice black magic, and they are very, very good at it.
America's Strangest Legends and Mysteries, Part 4. In the year 1995, a man by the name of Mike Markham attempted to create a time machine on his front porch in Stanberry, Missouri. At the time, he was a 21-year-old college student majoring in electricity, and his goal was to travel to the future in order to get hold of the winning lottery numbers. His first attempt at a small-scale time machine included an advanced form of something called a Jacob's ladder, which is an electrical contraption that creates a type of climbing arc. After testing it out by throwing a metal screw through it, he saw the screw vanish before reappearing a few feet away a second later. Following a few more tests, the machine caught on fire, and so he decided to start working on a larger, much more powerful machine. Now, because he didn't have any money to buy any new parts, he resorted to stealing transformers from a nearby power station. Then his next experiment was apparently so powerful that it caused a large-scale blackout in his neighborhood, and he ended up being arrested by the police. After serving a few months in prison, he was ultimately released and invited to become a guest on Art Bell for Coast to Coast Radio. His first appearance was apparently such a massive success for him financially that when he appeared again a year later, he told Art Bell that he was in the process of developing a far more sophisticated time machine, with a vortex big enough for a man to walk into. However, not long after this interview, Mike Markham ended up disappearing in the year 1997. Although some people have claimed to have seen him since, still a mystery that's yet to be solved.
Recently, I've been making a few videos talking about how Antarctica may be a giant ice wall that circles the continents that we live on instead of being a giant continent itself. Also mention how some people believe that past this Arctic wall, there are many continents that are purposely being hidden from us. What's interesting is that in 1954, a U.S. naval officer named Richard E. Byrd went on national TV and said some statements involving a continent that may be being hidden from us. Check it out real quick.
Pole. Is there any unexplored land left on this earth that might appeal to adventurous young Americans?
But strangely enough, there's left in the world today an area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being. And that's beyond the pole on the other side of the South Pole from Middle America.
Now, only a few years after saying this, in 1957, Richard Byrd passed away. A year later, in 1958, NASA was formed, and then a year after that, in 1959, the Arctic Treaty was signed. As far as what's on these continents, the theories range from there being prehistoric creatures such as mammoths on these continents, to others believing that there are very advanced civilizations on these lands, some going as far as to say that this is where aliens really come from and not from outer space. But what do you think about all this? Leave a like and a follow if you want me to talk deeper about these civilizations, and leave your opinion in the comments. Yesterday, I made a video about a theory involving Antarctica that's been blowing up recently, and now I want to go into a little more detail about it. To sum this theory up, the theory suggests that instead of Antarctica being one giant continent at the bottom of the Earth, it actually goes around each and every continent that we inhabit. The theory then goes deeper and states that if you were to make it past this ice wall, that you'd run into many more continents that were purposely being hidden from us. Now, a lot of you pointed out that satellite images of Earth should be able to debunk this easily, and you would be right. However, it is not necessarily the satellites, but that NASA openly admits to running each and every one of their photos through Photoshop right before releasing it. So who's to say that they didn't edit, delete, or add whatever they wanted before we, the people, actually are able to see it? Also found it pretty interesting that if you look at some of these satellite photos of Earth, for example, back in 2012, North America is about twice as big as it was in 2007. I already talked about how the Gleason map in 1892 depicts Antarctica going around our continents, but there was also a 1,000-year-old map found in a temple in China that not only depicts our continents within a circle, but shows over 20 other continents that we've never seen before outside of this circle. Leave a like if you want me to talk about these continents. But what do you think about all this? I got a video of some fishermen from Australia who happen to have traveled a little too close to Antarctica from where they were originally at. Check out what happens to them and then leave your opinion about all this in the comments.
Stop, Josh. They take it seriously. What did they say? You got to yield. You can't just fucking... They think you're going to charge them.
We don't know for sure, but we think they did.
What is it? You are exit the area immediately.
Going that way.
We're just traversing. But they're not already. Is there a helicopter coming at us now?
Natural and artificial flavoring is dead cloned fetus. Look it up. No way. Let's find out. A flavoring development company named Synomics that uses embryonic fetus cells looked into HEK293, which are the kidney cells of aborted human fetuses. They got a bunch of patents filed for it and sold it to manufacturers like Kraft, Pepsi, Nestle. It is not a flavor in itself, it just mimics taste receptor cells. Nowadays, they make all this stuff in a lab, which they just clone the original cell. Here's a little list of products with HEK293 in them. So if this isn't something that you want to eat, go ahead and watch out for natural and artificial flavors. And make sure to hit follow to learn the labels.
What's up, y'all? So I got this map that I came across, and I wanted to show you guys exactly what the world looks like. Not only the world, but like our realm, this entire realm that we live in. I got this map, y'all want to see? Okay, so all these worlds that y'all see, these are actually worlds, like planets with their own domes. Everybody has their own dome, and there is us, there's Earth right there, not like how the maps show it, just exactly how flat Earth shows it. That's us right there. And look at all the lands outside of Earth. Look at Asgard, look at Atlantis, Lemuria. Like, these places actually still do exist. Lands of mermaids. Like, we are not alone by far. Like, they want us to believe that we are the only ones on this plane, and we are not. There are other like worlds in our domain, like in our realm. And so you see lands of Mars, you see Venus, you see Neptune. Look, the Anunnaki lands, y'all know who they are, so don't get it twisted. Nos Confunding on YouTube is the guy that put me up on this map. Yes, you do have to pay for it, but it is well worth it. And I mean, he's got a world of knowledge on his YouTube channel, so make sure you go and check him out. But I mean, look at all these worlds that are in our realm. Everybody has their own dome. And when we look at planets in our sky, we're not look at Mercury, look at Venus. We're not looking at the actual planets. Like, there are not planets. We are looking at the electromagnetic field of their dome. That is exactly what we see. That is the reason why it doesn't look, like a regular, planet that they're showing us those pictures from NASA. No, those are not real. You see Nibiru, you see, Neptune, all these like places We're seeing their electromagnetic field from their dome. Everybody has a dome. We even have a Great Dome. If you look at the edge of this picture, there's a Great Dome. So all of these places are inside of one dome. Follow for more.
Have you guys heard of the Mahajan Massacre?
The what?
So the Mahajan Massacre is an ancient massacre that is evidence for an ancient nuclear war.
How ancient? Because you're saying nuclear?
Let me explain. This is the picture of the bodies that they found over there. The bodies were actually never eaten by animals. They were all like together, and the sand around them turned to glass.
Oh. No way.
Yeah. So that's evidence of a nuclear weapon. Not just that, since the bodies also were never eaten, if you actually go there today, they actually have higher levels of radiation in that area.
No way.
Yeah, so over here, they say basically is a baseless claim, but the radiation is higher, 8.3 times higher than normal areas.
Isn't that like deadly?
It's pretty fucking high, bro. Like, that's what it is. This massacre is evidence of an ancient nuclear war that took place, and this is about 4,000 years ago. So this gives you a scope of how advanced were we actually back then. You know what I'm saying?
Around that time is when the Egyptians started to fall. That would be 2000 BC, around there.
Wouldn't some of the bodies be like vaporized though?
That's what I'm thinking too. Well, how would the bodies stay? And
well, it depends. Like, they probably weren't that close to the site.
Cups, chewing them off, biting them, spitting them out, flicking them around. It only takes 550 years for this to degrade, and it's still toxic after that. But listen to this. DuPont, man. DuPont, I don't know what demonic entity controls this organization, but they have made the most toxic things that pollute the entire world. I can't even believe it. They made styrofoam. They made chemical weapons during World War II. Most styrofoam around the world doesn't get recycled because countries don't even know how or don't have the infrastructure to do so. And this thing could be made out of the cellulose from hemp plants. But DuPont had a lot to do with banning hemp. And you ban hemp because it absorbs carbon. And if all this carbon's being absorbed, then you can't say Agenda 21, get into a smart city because we got to save the climate from emission. This conspiracy goes much deeper than most realize. Here's something you never knew about styrofoam cup.
Let's talk about this, y'all. This is like the third mass shooting. Like, I could be wrong on the numbers, but it's been happening like back to back within these little few weeks. So y'all can't tell me that I'm tripping right now. Like, y'all really putting in overtime to make these things happen. Y'all are really trying to keep these people blind, distracted from what y'all are doing. What y'all done already did. What y'all got coming. So, I'm here to let y'all know what they are hiding, why they keep doing all of this. All of the stuff that y'all see on the news ain't real, which we know that. But I'm not going to say that all of these killings are fake either. Like, it could really be, people really getting killed. Innocent people. But there are also actors. Like, this is the third mass shooting. First one was race related. Then y'all saying the other one was he was being bullied. And now here you go with this. Like, what's the excuse going to be? So, the next clip, I'm finna show y'all part 2 of the video that I posted earlier on my TikTok when I was telling you about how the Constitution has been suspended and there is a zombie apocalypse on the way. They not doing all this for nothing. If y'all really think that this is cap, pay attention. Let this freaking doctor, scientist, all these people tell y'all what they are doing, what they done already paid for, what's already happened. Monkeypox, all this stuff is not out for nothing. They doing it for a reason. They want y'all to get vaccinated so that they can chip y'all butts. Well, not chip y'all butts, but inject y'all with the virus and turn you to zombies. Y'all think this stuff is a joke? They ain't been putting it up there for nothing. And now you can't even go to the CDC website and even see the little zombie apocalypse preparedness video. They took it down. But watch this clip.
It is only about a zombie apocalypse, defending it. And you will see that every NIMS compliant, practically, agency or whether that's state, local, or federal, has already had their zombie apocalypse preparedness training. They've already done their...
Do you know the Fresno Nightcrawler theory?
What the heck is a Nightcrawler?
So we all know how there's many theories that like monsters and creatures. But what if I told you they actually caught one and they have proof?
What do you mean they have proof?
So in 2011, there was a guy named Sean Reagan, and he lived in Fresno, California. And one morning he woke up and he found a dead deer. The dead deer on the ground looked like nothing he's ever seen before.
Wait, there was a dead deer just laying outside of his house?
So Sean had security cameras outside his house, so he decided to look at the footage to see what happened. And what he found was crazy. He literally saw a two-legged creature running that had just two legs and no arms. And this is what's known as the Fresno Nightcrawler. And Fresno Nightcrawlers are known to be found in California, and they all have about like 2 to 4 feet long legs, and they have little finger hands as their feet.
Is this real?
Many people are really skeptical of it, but they actually hired an investigator to research all the different footage that they have, and they found it's actually real footage. They literally did everything they could to expose the footage and try to recreate it, and they could never do it again. Even the History Channel had to do a documentary on this because so many people had experiences with nightcrawlers. There's even statues of nightcrawlers that were made hundreds of years ago that they found.
Why have I never heard of this?
All right, so today we're going to talk about the moon. Word on the street is that the moon does affect women and their menstrual cycles. That fact alone will tell me, we don't need the moon. Get rid of the moon. But there are a lot of other things out there about the moon that people really don't know about, and I've got a video to show you. You guys check it out and let me know in the comments what you think. Follow for more.
The moon is, it's a strange thing. It's as far as planetary things go, it's an odd child. It showed up here, and then our.
What do you mean it showed up?
Well,
how did it show up?
The cosmetologists and Native American Indians.
That's right.
They both got something in common, and that is the moon story. The Indians have songs about the moon when it showed up. Cosmetologists will tell you, they try to skip over that part and downplay it, but you know something when they say, well, you do know the moon, when it first got here, is only 22,300 miles away. And I'm going, wait a minute, which one of these did we tackle for when it first got here? And they said, that's different. And they said, yeah, with the lunar rocks that came back from Apollo, they're not really lining up with the Earth. There's a, 500 million year discrepancy in age. And so
you're telling me it wasn't a chunk of Earth then?
Yeah, so I went, well, the old collision theory is not right. Then he goes, right. And he said it's caught in a tidal lock where it doesn't rotate. And as big as it is, has no magnetic fields.
No poles,
no molten core. Mm-hmm. And that's why there's no atmospheres. No Van Allen radiation belts like with us. And I thought, that's... And when it first got here, from day one, it's been moving about 1.33 inches back each orbit, and now it's 238,000 miles away.
But wouldn't it, if it was a real moon, wouldn't the momentum of that?
I can show you on a blackboard.
Right.
The sheer mass forces that are involved. You're not going to stop a body mass of that magnitude, 22,300 miles out from a planetary body that's 10 times its mass. You got a thing called momentum. It's got to be answered, and it's just like stopped.
Right.
And the point it stopped was interesting, 22,300 miles. That's geostationary, where we put all our satellites. So I said, well, what happened? They all stopped right there, jumped off of this like a bunch of fleas, jumped over on the planet Earth and started things, and it kept moving away.